Welcome back to The Strategic Mind, the channel dedicated to sharpening your ability to think ahead and make smarter decisions. If you're passionate about growing as a strategic thinker, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button to join our community. Today, we're diving into game theory, the science of decision-making and a cornerstone of mastering strategy. And trust me, once you understand this, you'll start seeing it everywhere, in business, politics, sports, even everyday life. So, what exactly is game theory, and why should you care? At its heart, game theory is the science of strategy. It's a powerful branch of applied mathematics that gives us a framework for understanding how rational individuals, companies, or even nations make decisions when their outcomes are intertwined. Think of it less like a simple puzzle and more like a strategic chess match. In chess, you can't just focus on your own best move in isolation. You must constantly anticipate your opponent's reactions, thinking 2, 3, or even 4 steps ahead. Every move you make is influenced by what you expect them to do next, and they are doing the exact same calculation about you. This web of mutual anticipation is where game theory truly comes alive. To break it down, every game has 3 core components. First, we have the players. These are the decision makers in the scenario. A player could be you and a friend deciding on a restaurant, 2 rival tech companies launching new products, or countries negotiating a trade agreement. Second, we have the strategies. These are the complete plans of action available to each player. A strategy isn't just a single move, it's a comprehensive policy for how a player will act in any situation that could arise. And third, we have the payoffs. These are the outcomes or consequences that each player receives after all decisions are made. Crucially, a payoff isn't just a number, it can represent profit, market share, political power, or even personal satisfaction. The key is that your payoff depends not only on your own strategy, but on the strategies chosen by all other players. This interdependence is the soul of game theory. Your best choice is rarely fixed, it's contingent on the choices of others. Sometimes players are in direct competition, like in a zero-sum game where one's gain is another's loss. Other times, they can both benefit through cooperation, creating a non-zero-sum game where the pie can actually get bigger for everyone. And here's the kicker. Every rational player is thinking not just about their own move, but also about what the other players are thinking. That's what makes game theory so powerful and fascinating. It's strategy layered on strategy, a deep dive into the logic of human interaction. When people are first introduced to game theory, the journey almost always begins with a single powerful story: the prisoner's dilemma. It's a simple scenario, but it perfectly captures the tension between individual self-interest and collective well-being. It reveals why 2 completely rational individuals might not cooperate, even when it appears that it's in their best interest to do so. This paradox is at the heart of many strategic decisions we see every day. Imagine 2 partners in crime are arrested and held in separate interrogation rooms, unable to communicate. The prosecutor lacks enough evidence for a major conviction unless one of them confesses. Each prisoner is offered the same deal. They have 2 choices: stay silent and cooperate with their partner, or betray their partner and confess to the police. Let's map this out. If both stay silent, they each get a minor charge, say 1 year in prison. If you betray your partner while they stay silent, you go free, and your partner gets a heavy sentence, let's say 10 years. But, and this is the crucial part, if you both betray each other, you both get a moderate sentence, for example, 5 years each. Now, put yourself in the shoes of suspect A. You don't know what suspect B will do, so you reason it out. What if suspect B stays silent? My best move is to betray, because going free is better than 1 year in jail. Now, what if suspect B betrays me? My best move is to betray, because 5 years in jail is better than 10. So, no matter what the other person does, your individual rational choice is always to betray. The other prisoner, being equally rational, comes to the exact same conclusion. The inevitable result is that both betray and end up with 5 years each. Here's the twist. If they had both stayed silent, they would have only served 1 year each. By pursuing their own self-interest, they end up in a situation that is worse for both of them. This outcome, where each player has chosen their best possible strategy given the other's choice, is a core concept in game theory, known as a Nash equilibrium. It's a stable state, but not necessarily the best one. Now let's take this out of the jail cell and into the world of business, where this dilemma plays out constantly. Imagine 2 competing airlines on a popular route. Each can either keep its ticket prices high to maintain good profit margins, or cut prices to steal market share. If both keep prices high, they share the market and both make a healthy profit, say, $10 million each. If airline A cuts prices while airline B keeps them high, A captures most of the market and makes a huge profit, say, $15 million, while B loses customers and makes only $2 million. But if both airlines cut prices, they trigger a price war. They retain their market share but at a much lower margin, and both end up with a meager profit of just $3 million each. The logic is identical to the prisoner's case. For each airline, the dominant strategy is to cut prices, regardless of what the competitor does. It protects them from the worst-case scenario of being the only one with high prices and maximizes their gain if the other holds firm. So, they both cut prices and end up in a price war, making far less than if they had simply cooperated. This is the prisoner's dilemma in action, a powerful force where the fear of being undercut drives rational players into mutually destructive outcomes. Understanding this trap is the first step to avoiding it. So, let's break down the basics. A game isn't just about cards or chess, it's any situation where people's choices affect each other, two companies setting prices, two countries negotiating, or even two friends deciding where to eat. The players are the decision makers. They could be individuals, businesses, governments, or even animals in nature. If your choices interact with someone else's choices, you're a player in the game. And finally, a strategy is your plan of action. It's not just one move, it's your overall approach considering what others might do. For example, a company's strategy could be to always keep prices high or to cut prices if a competitor does. Strategies are the backbone of how players try to win or survive. Now let's dive into the different strategies in game theory. Think of these as the core plays in your strategic playbook. Understanding which strategy to deploy and when is what separates a novice from a master. The right choice depends entirely on the game you're playing, the rules, the players, and what's at stake. First up is the dominant strategy. This is the holy grail of game theory, a move that yields the best outcome for you no matter what your opponent decides to do. It's a powerful advantage, but also quite rare in the real world, as most decisions are far more interdependent. A classic example is the Vickrey auction, or a second price sealed bid auction. In this format, the highest bidder wins, but pays the price of the second highest bid. Here, bidding your true, honest valuation of the item is a dominant strategy. If you bid lower, you risk losing an item you wanted for a price you were willing to pay. If you bid higher, you risk overpaying. Honesty is, quite literally, the best policy. Next, we have a pure strategy. This is where a player decides to make one specific choice and stick with it. It's a complete plan of action, defining a single, deterministic move for any situation that could arise. For example, a premium pizza shop might adopt a pure strategy of always keeping its prices high to maintain its brand image as a luxury product. This makes them predictable, but it also reinforces their market position. But what if being predictable is a disadvantage? That's where a mixed strategy comes in. Instead of choosing one move, you randomize your choices based on a set of probabilities. The goal is to keep your opponent guessing. Think of a soccer goalie facing a penalty kick. If they always dive to the right, the kicker will just shoot left. The optimal strategy is to randomize, perhaps diving left 50% of the time and right 50% of the time, making it impossible for the kicker to know their next move. Now, let's shift from individual plays to group dynamics with a cooperative strategy. This occurs when players can form binding agreements and work together to achieve a mutually beneficial outcome. It's about expanding the pie before you divide it. For example, two airlines might agree to share routes through a code-share agreement. Instead of engaging in a costly price war to steal customers, they cooperate to serve more destinations efficiently, benefiting both companies and their passengers. The opposite is a non-cooperative strategy, which is far more common. Here, players cannot form enforceable contracts and must act in their own self-interest. It's every player for themselves. This is the world of intense market competition. Think of rival smartphone companies racing to release new features first. Each company makes its decisions on design, marketing, and pricing independently, aiming to capture the largest market share possible, even if it means hurting a competitor's profits. Each of these strategies, dominant, pure, mixed, cooperative, and non-cooperative, shines in different contexts. They are the fundamental building blocks for analyzing any strategic interaction. Knowing which one applies and how to use it is the real art of game theory. So when is it best to use these strategies? Use a dominant strategy when one option clearly beats all others. Use a pure strategy when consistency builds trust or loyalty. Use a mixed strategy when predictability makes you vulnerable. Use a cooperative strategy when teamwork creates win-win outcomes. Use a non-cooperative strategy when competition drives innovation or trust is impossible. The beauty of game theory is that it doesn't just tell you what's possible, it helps you see the hidden logic behind everyday decisions. So that's game theory in a nutshell, from the prisoner's dilemma to dominant strategies. If you start looking closely, you'll see these patterns everywhere, in business, politics, sports, and even your daily life. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who loves strategy. And let me know in the comments, where do you see game theory playing out in your own life? Until next time, keep sharpening your strategic mind.